We are looking at your free response 4 assignment, which is due, I believe, let me just jump over here, which is going to be due Sunday, May 6th, I believe. Let's make sure. Free response 4 is going to be the last one right down here. Yes, it's going to be due. So today is Sunday, April 29th, so you'll have 1 week to do this, which should be easy enough. So I just wanted to say a few things before I start. Every one of these free responses that I've looked at back to 2010 and even before start off with some type of market graph. So it's going to be very important for you guys to spend as much time as you can with this handout, with this study guide that I sent out to you guys a while ago that has all the essential graphs for microeconomics. And if you don't have that, or if you've lost it, if you go to your course to the menu item AP practice exam, you'll see it. You can download it right here. Okay? And the first graph that we're going to be drawing looks like, well, is a Monopolies, and I'm sure it's in here. Let's just scroll down. So here's one for the perfectly competitive product, market, and firm, but we're going to look at the Monopoly, which is right here. Now, the one they've drawn here is a little bit different, because the one they're giving you in this question, the average total cost curve is a perfectly flat horizontal curve, because they've given you one right here. So, and they've also said here that a marginal cost equals average total cost, so they're both constant at P1. So that's something to keep in mind. All these graphs don't look exactly the same, but what you will see is you will always see in a monopoly a downward sloping demand and a downward sloping marginal revenue curve that's steeper, typically twice the slope of the demand curve, and you'll see the a monopoly profit maximizing output where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. Even though this isn't drawn perfectly here, you can assume that they meant to go right through this point right here. Okay, so that's going to be true of every monopoly. So if we go back to the one we're looking at for our question, you can see this point right here where a marginal revenue right here equals marginal cost, and I should actually, where am I here? Yeah, okay, good. Anyway, this is the point where the firm is going to produce in order to maximize profit. So the first set of questions here are asking you to identify the monopoly's profit maximizing output, their price, and the profit that is going to be earned by the monopolist, and the deadweight loss that results when the monopoly produces at an output that is lower than the socially optimum. So let's go back to the one that I have over here, and let's just get more of a visual. Okay, so here's our graph. Our point where marginal cost equals marginal revenue is right here. Okay, here's the marginal revenue curve. Here's the marginal cost curve. So where they're equal or where they intersect is right at point C. So our profit maximizing output is going to be Q. It's going to be Q1, right? Q1. and the price is going to be moving up from here to the demand curve right here, and then over to the price, which is P3. Okay, that's going to be the profit of maximizing price. So now, what is the profit? What is the area that identifies the profit? Well, if this is the price right here, and this is the cost right here, then the profit is going to be the difference between the average total cost at P1 and the price at P3 out to the points where they're producing. So we can identify that easily here, but in your answer you're going to have to identify the four corners here: P1, P3, A, and C. That's the profit. The difference between the cost, the cost and the price. Okay, now you can also say that it's the total revenue minus cost, which is the total revenue would be this box right here, right? Minus the cost right here would give you a profit right here. Okay, minus total cost. This point, this level of P1 right here is the average total cost, because that's your cost per unit. The total cost, the total would be this box right here. Okay, all of this, the cost times the quantity. Okay, out to a Q1 right here. All right, now where are we? So now I believe that takes care of. No, we need to look at deadweight loss. Okay, so in order to do that, we need to come back to our graph, and we need to identify the point where they would produce at the socially optimum or the allocatively efficient point, which is at point F, where a marginal cost equals, I'm not sure about, yeah, here, where a marginal cost equals a marginal social benefit or demand, because they're the same. Okay, so this point right here. So the deadweight loss is going to be everything in between that point and where they're producing. So we can draw that a triangle and put that right in here. Okay, so that's going to be your deadweight loss, and that's going to be identified with the triangle points A, C, and F. Okay, that takes care of all of 1, I believe. Let's jump back. Okay, now that takes care of all of 1A. Now 1B. Now we're going to assume that the monopolist can perfectly price discriminate using the labeling of the graph. We want to identify the areas that's going to show the quantity produced. That's actually just going to be a point, right? And the total revenue received by the monopolist. Okay, so first, what do we mean by a perfect price discrimination? So let's jump back to our graph over here, and let's scroll down. Let's move this out, and let's think. Okay, so what that means is that the firm is going to be able to charge the price that every consumer along this demand curve would pay, all the way out to the point where marginal cost equals price. They're not going to go further. They're not going to produce or want to sell after the point where price is below marginal cost. So they're going to go from here to here, and perfect price discrimination means theoretically that they can charge each consumer exactly what they would pay. So you've got one, let's say, consumer up here who would pay just below P4, because no one's going to actually pay P4 because that is a quantity demanded of 0. So just below, just below, and then all the way down to here. So the first question asks us, let's just jump back, what is the quantity? Well, the quantity that they're going to produce is all the way out to here, where a marginal cost equals a price. So that's going to be a quantity of Q3. Okay. Now, the total revenue is going to be everything here. And then since they're saying a revenue, we've got to include everything, not just a profit, but a revenue, right? So if they're going to produce out to here, and they're going to charge a different price for every consumer along this demand. Let me grab this. Along this demand curve from here to here, then the revenue is going to be this whole area defined as P4. If we go clockwise, it's going to be P4 FQ3 0. Okay, so this is the revenue, the total revenue in here that the firm would get if they were able to perfectly price discriminate. Okay, and I believe that takes. Let me just jump back. I believe that takes care of A and B. So I'm going to come back on the next video and talk about C, D, and E.